Japan, 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 Japan. Round one. Fight, fight, fight you. Fight.
Hey everybody, Jim here. Welcome back to Mad Panic Gaming for another epic game hunt. Today I got off the train in the Tokyo neighborhood of Higashi-Kurume. And it was a bright, beautiful, sunny day, but very, very hot. Tokyo summers can kill you. But there is a hard off, just a short walk from the train station, about 10 to 15 minutes. And it's a hard off that I'd actually never been to before. So I came here for my first time today, hoping to find some retro game goodness. Hopefully find some deals. Was I able to accomplish this feat? Did I pick up some awesome games today, or was I met with crushing defeat? You'll find out, because that's what's coming up next. All right, let's get that exchange rate up there. Thank you very much, Mr. Editor, which is me in a few hours. We're starting off with a whole bunch of consoles with 8800 on this Mega Drive deck. And as you can see on the price tags on all of these, they do have at least a window of time where you can return them if they're not working. So a lot of them, it's 10 days, but I've seen some as many as like 3 months. We have stacks of Wii U's here. For a range of prices, depending on what's included and if there's damage or not. $38.50 on this Saturn, just the deck itself. No controller, no hookups, none of that stuff. And then we have the gray Saturn, $6,600. The gray I find to be the more common of the two. This one is complete. It's got all the necessary hookups. And it looks like you get a 1-month warranty on it. So that's pretty good. Kind of hard to argue with that, getting a warranty on used, like, old products. $4,400 on the Super Famicom and this Famicom as well. Even though it's like got a hell of a tan on it, $3,300 on that one as well. All of these ones with the RF. It'd be nice if they had some of the AV model ones in here, but I guess that's asking a bit much. They usually only have those in Akiba. One of these bad boys, Game Computer Play. All right. One of these, like, Famiclones, I guess they call them, for not too much money. These are pretty cheap. $1,100 for this one. I've never actually played a game on one of these. Like, I've only ever played original hardware or emulation on PC, so I don't know how well those work or not. We got a Nintendo 64 here, and it is boxed. And I gotta bend these poor old knees to get down there and have a look at it. $6,600. And it looks like it has everything. It might be missing the AV cables. But $6,600 exchange rate right now. That's under $50. $49.50 for one without box. $4,400 there, and $6,600 for that one. So I don't know. I guess maybe they're factoring in like the groovy controller. I don't know. But you can see they're at a range from 40-something hundred to about 6,600. So from like 30 to 45 bucks. Multi-tap for the PS2. That's pretty cool. That's was that 1180 after tax? So it's 1,000 yen. It's like, I don't know, $6, $6.50. That's cool. Boxed Wii U's, and they're looking pretty good in this Mario Kart edition. Although once Mario Kart 8, Deluxe came out on the Switch, that's kind of like the end-all be-all of kart racers right now. $3,300 on this kind of grody looking Super Famicom with just a power cord. $3,300 on this one. Looks like no power cords or anything, but it's got controllers. Can we just get a complete one, please? $4,400 on this one. And I'm just going to assume it's complete. Can't actually see inside, damn you. But let's just make that assumption. Then $8,800 with a 10-day warranty on this boxed complete Sega Saturn. So $8,800, that's in the neighborhood of like $60. That's not so bad. And then this one in the brown box, also $8,800. Despite the fact that is just red brown. I don't know if that's like was actually the interior of the box or it's just like super faded. I have no idea. And then we have these just big buckets of controllers. So we got some Dreamcast controllers here, and it was nice. They separated all their controllers by console. So there's a bucket of Dreamcast controllers. There's a bucket of N64, and they're 1,000 yen, 1,000 yen each. So like $6 a piece for these controllers. You can see we got GameCube controllers, including once again the No Limit Soldiers edition. What the hell? It has 2,500. I guess if you want to pay 2,500 for just to have the camouflage, in case you're trying to play your GameCube, you know, like behind enemy lines or something, you might have to do that. But they had a whole bunch of memory cards. They had some RAM carts and things like that. And then these, which I'm showing my age. It already amiibos. That's right. I was forgetting what amiibos are called. I've never owned an amiibo in my life. We got the Super Game Boy player there. That's pretty cool. It's the Orange Spice version, so that's nice. And some handhelds. And actually, speaking of Orange Spice, there I overlooked some GameCubes here. But they had an Orange Spice and a black. And they're a 6,600. And, very quickly, let's take a look. This glass case of Broken Dreams. They got a bunch of stuff in there. They've got some Goemon. They've got some Captain Tsubasa. They got all kinds of stuff. Super Mario All-Stars is in there. Zelda, $29.70 on that. I've actually seen that one going up. Soul Blader, which is very cool. Makaimura, aka Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Some cool stuff in there. More here. We've got Yu Yu Hakusho 3, I think. We've got Mickey's Magical Adventure 3, complete, $59.40. Magic Knight Ray Earth, $69.30. So not cheap on some of these, but these are more elusive games and less common to find them boxed these days. A whole bunch of boxed Famicom games as well. We've got some Dragon Quest, we've got some Dragon Ball Z, we've got Goemon, we've got Ultraman. We've got a lot of stuff. Rockman 5 boxed and in really good condition for $59.40. Super C for 22,000 yen. That's like $150. So that ain't cheap. So there you go. And then some Akumajo Dracula back there, or Dracula 2 as it's known in Japan on the disc system. We got some GBA, very unusual actually these days. Rare it becomes to find boxed GBA games, but there they are. We got some Game Boy Color, some Kirby, some Zelda, all the good ones, and a bunch of PS2 games, including some Fatal Frame Taito Memories back there. Those are going up in price, becoming more and more elusive these days. That's pretty cool. And then here, very cool indeed, a whole bunch of Neo Geo Pocket games, which again is becoming less and less common these days. Those are a little expensive. Einhander, 3,850, and that's actually a pretty good deal on a copy of Einhander. I don't mind telling you, that's a good-looking game there. And 7,700 on Gunmu Martian Memory, Battle Angel Alita. That's about $50 for that, and that's actually a good deal on that right now. That game's going up. Anyway, bunch of consoles, bunch of games. Moving on. Alright, now to the real meat and potatoes of this video. All the games they had out on the shelves, which for the most part, we're going to be looking at a ton of Nintendo stuff, starting with some Dragon Ball Z, Invasion of the Saiyans, I think it was, one of the DBZ RPGs they had on the Famicom, which for their time are pretty cool games. We got one of the Ultraman, I think, RPGs as well. There's a lot of stuff back in the day. If you couldn't figure out a good way to make it into an action game, hey, why not? Make it an RPG. And some Downtown Neketsu with plenty of damage to it and missing some stuff. But that is River City Ransom. It is $27.50. And I think directly next to it is Downtown Special, $16.50. And the box, the front and back look kind of okay. The side was pretty jacked up. And I think it's missing something or other. Yeah, like the box stuff was, they didn't have a ton of box stuff when I came in today, but they had a whole bunch of loose cards. But some of the box stuff we're going to take a look at actually was quite the deal. We got some Ganbare Goemon. But yeah, so this place pretty much pretty well stocked on the Nintendo stuff. As you can see, like, just tons of loose carts. They had hundreds and hundreds of loose carts. So I'm gonna try to do like some editing here so that we're not sitting here for like an hour and a half. But they got quite a lot of stuff, and for the most part, things were priced between 300 yen and 1,000 yen. So as you can see, Kamen no Ninja Hanamaru for 1,100 yen, but a little bit of damage there on the label. This one, front label looking pretty good, and then I flipped it around. Back label is less damage, so I was gonna take that because Kamen no Ninja Hanamaru, that's becoming less and less common, so I kind of have that protruding out. But that is Yo Noid, actually, on the NES, in case you didn't already know, which you probably already did, because I'm sure I've mentioned it like a million times. And the magic of editing, we're going on to the next game I wanted to pick up today for 800 yen. This copy of Gradius, and wow, it was actually a very nice condition cartridge. Back label looks good, front label looked fantastic. So I was definitely picking that up. Basically, anytime I can find like a really good condition copy of Gradius and it's like under 1,000 yen, I'll probably get it. So I'm starting like a little pile there of stuff I want to take with me. 330 for Gegege no Kitaro. I really should always just have a basket with me, so I don't just have to create like these random stacks of things just piled up everywhere. But there they are. We got some Star Force. Which pretty cool game, and it actually came with the manual. So I thought for 1,000 yen, 1,100 after tax. In case you were wondering, the big price on there is what you'll pay after tax, because sales tax in Japan is 10%. I think across the board, like no matter where you are. So 300 yen games become 330 yen for this nice, very good condition copy of Saint Seiya. Which I have some friends around the world who are huge Saint Seiya fans. I know in particular in Central and South America, Saint Seiya was a phenomenon. We've got some Atomu, aka Astro Boy by Konami. That's 880. That's another good one, and in fantastic condition. And I love like just the shape of these Konami carts. They seem just like they're more square, like they feel and look a bit chunkier. And speaking of Konami, Top Gun Dual Fighters. So I think it's Top Gun's second mission, which is cool because it's not uncommon to come across the original Top Gun. You know, pretty good selling game, but second mission, far less common. So for 1,100 yen, I'll take that. And then we got a bunch of Dragon Quests here. We've got Dragon Quest 2, we got Dragon Quest 3. We have a loose copy of Downtown Nekketsu, but I don't know if it really shows up so well on camera, but the cover was kind of like sun faded. It didn't look so good, so I was going to leave that there, because usually that's a game you can find for between 500 and 800 yen anyway. Here, though, thought this was pretty cool. Another game with its manual, Dragon Quest 3 for 1,100 yen. So I find a game with the manual and it's under 10 bucks. That's usually a score. People like to have a nice manual with them. And then with Dragon Quest, you can't complain. You got all that really nice artwork. Carrying on, and speaking of some Akira Toriyama, we got Dragon Ball. Again, 1,100 yen. And it also had the manual with it. So that is just like some nice luck there. Good luck on that, Jim. You're finding games with manuals. And they're all about, I don't know, what, $7? American, so that's good. We got some Fazanadu, which is very cool. I actually only recently discovered that Fazanadu is actually not such a bad game. We got some disk system games here. This one says Block Kuzushi. So I'm guessing that's like a Konami like breakout style game. But a little expensive though. And then we have some without the like big plastic case on it. Yeah, disk system games, and you know, something else I don't come across too terribly often. Karate Champ. Mostly because I do send out a lot of games, and not a whole lot of people are too terribly interested in Famicom discs, so I don't know. We got a complete copy of the original Ganbare Goemon. That's pretty good. 2750. That's, thinking about it, mulling it over. That's a maybe. You can sit there. I don't think it's going anywhere, at least not before I leave here today. Super Bomberman. Really good game. 1650 complete. Usually these Super Bomberman games, they're not too terribly expensive. It does make me wonder what some of these, because, you know, Super Bomberman, maybe like the Rockman X games. Usually here I'm kind of complain if they're over like 20 bucks or something. But I wonder how much they are in North America, for example. Gambare Goemon 2, 2,200 yen, but the box is too beat up for my liking. I don't want to send someone a beat up, ratty old box. So I'm sorry you got to stay there. Otherwise, that would be a great deal on that. We've got Super Puyo Puyo. Looking pretty good, box in really good shape, and the price on it is only 440 yen. Which I think is about $3 American. I'm not looking at like an exchange rate calculator right now, but that's a hell of a deal on that. We've got some more Super Bomberman games. Another copy of the original, still $16.50, so that's about 10 bucks. And we've got Super Bomberman 2, another great game. I think only the first one released outside of Japan. That one's 1980. So that's still not a bad deal. That's still like 12 bucks. Again, like I say that, like I find box games and I'm so scrutinizing, like, it's over 20 bucks, it's over 12 bucks, I don't know. But then I just hear horror stories about back in the US. If you find anything even resembling an SNES box, it's about $100. So I should really count my blessings, shouldn't I? We got Panic Bomber. Super Bomberman Panic Bomber, $16.50, so that's about 10 bucks on that. And that's in good shape. And that's a really fun puzzle game, too. Even if you're playing it on the Virtual Boy, apparently. We got some more box stuff down here. This is when it gets tough on my knees. I'm not so good at squatting down low these days. $9.90 though on this copy of Seiken Densetsu 2, aka Secret of Mana. So I wonder what a boxed copy of Secret of Mana goes for in North America these days. I'm gonna guess your firstborn child. So stop your bitching, Jim. These are good prices across the board. That's cool. We got Chrono Trigger DS. We had a whole bunch of loose Game Boy games. But I actually waited until I put the camera down to go through those because that was quite a lot. And then we're just faced with this wall of Super Famicom games. So let's tackle that. Are you still with me? This is a hell of a lot of games to dig through. We got some F-Zero. Again, Fatal Fury 2 for $5.50. Again, most of this stuff between 300 yen and 1,000 yen. So like $2 on the low end and like, I don't know, $6 on the high end. We got some Gambare Goemons here. They're 880 yen. That ain't so bad, but there's a whole lot of them. They have so many of them, they should bring the price down. Bring it down to 500. I'll buy 10 of them. Chrono Trigger, 550 yen. And it looks really nice. Really good condition. Very clean. I'm just kidding, by the way. I don't buy like 10 copies of individual games. I'll buy one. And then leave the rest for other potential game hunters. Here, even though it's a little bit discolored there, 1,100 yen on a Great Battle Gaiden 2 is just, you know, I can't pass that up. This is a game that's usually probably closer to about, I don't know, 2,500 yen. So it's a little discolored, but I can't say no to that price. Even though I typically try to avoid cartridges that have that nice tan on them, but what can you do? We got some Sim Cities, even one with manual. Even though nobody I send or sell games to wants to play Sim City in Japanese, so gotta leave that behind, unfortunately. We got some Super Scope stuff. We got Super Donkey Kong, one of my favorite SNES games. I think I put it at number 9 or number 8. And that's a super clean cartridge, and it's 330 yen. So it's literally like $2, and you get yourself some Super Donkey Kong or Super Donkey Kong 3. Not a bad game, but definitely the worst of the trilogy, the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. 330 yen on Super Puyo Puyo 2. Again, fantastic puzzle game. The Puyo Puyo games, some of the best. And then we got the original Super Puyo Puyo, also 330 yen. So both of these, they're like $2 a piece. So I'm taking those with me. That's a hell of a deal. We've got some Cho Makaimura, aka Super Ghouls and Ghosts. The back is kind of discolored, but the front is looking okay, but that's kind of like a maybe. I don't have to think about that. Super Mario World. This, though, I didn't have to think too much about. Twinbee Rainbow Bell Adventure. Another one's kind of uncommon to come across. Discolored on the back. Very nice looking on the front, and $16.50. So again, that's about 1,000 yen less than I usually see it for. So I really kind of had to get that. And then this one as well, Sailor Moon, the original, the 2-player beat 'em up. Again, a little discoloration on the back, but the front looks really good. And at 1,100 yen, that's about 2,000 yen less than I usually see, even like a loose card go for. Those Sailor Moon games, believe it or not, they're going up in price. I think because maybe a lot of people, we got some Mickey Magical Adventure, that's awesome as well. That's 880, that's in a maybe. Yeah, I think a lot of people, they like to collect the anime-themed games when they are, starting their Super Famicom collections. They go for the Dragon Ball Zs, the Sailor Moons. Those are kind of in demand, especially if they're beat-em-ups and fighting games. You'll find that a lot of the action games are the ones that buyers from overseas really want to pick up. Magical Taruru Tokun, 550 Magic Adventure. That's a good game. A little discolored, though, so I'm going to look at these other copies here and see what we got, because it's actually a really good price on that. These aren't getting much cheaper these days. This one is super clean. I like the looks of that, so that goes home with me today. And let's carry on. The hand action. You got to appreciate this hand action. I keep my hands nice and clean. I don't mind telling you. Mickey, Magical Adventure 3, super clean cart, and 2,200. This is a game that complete, was in the glass case. So that's like a maybe. We're still perusing. Some stuff with manual, but that's what always breaks my heart. If I find something that has its manual, but it's a game that's, if it's like a strategy game, RPG, something really text-heavy that I know most people won't, be able to play anyway, kind of breaks my heart to have to pass on stuff like that. This was shocking, actually. This is one of these Sailor Moon puzzle games, 1980, complete, and in really good shape. And again, this is a game that I would normally expect to find for between 4,000 and 5,000 yen. This is, again, the Sailor Moon games aren't getting any cheaper. The beat-em-ups and the fighting game, the puzzle games, they're all getting up there. So that was like probably my best find of the day, just as far as like pricing goes. And then it seems like on every hunting trip I go on, I have to find another copy of Tetris Battle Gaiden. Originally $54.93, I get it for $16.50. And that's a hell of a deal. But it seems like every game hunting trip I go on, I find at least one copy of Tetris Battle Gaiden, and I just have to repeat myself. It's one of my favorite Super Famicom exclusives. And there was a second copy here for a little less, but a little more wear and tear on it. So I left that behind. I got my copy of Tetris Battle Gaiden. I'll leave this here for maybe the next person who comes along who might want a copy. Because I'm such a nice guy that way. We got some more box stuff here. Most of it was kind of uneventful. A couple of cool things, though. First up, Panel de Pon. Great game, aka Tetris Attack, 1650. And it's in really good shape. So guess what? That goes home with me. And what else do they have? Not too much. They had like Yoshi's Cookie, a couple of other things. This looked especially good, though. Hoshino Kirby Super Deluxe for $25.30, which, as I'm sure you can probably tell, is Kirby Superstar. Great game in its own right. $25.30. That's, I don't know, in the neighborhood of like $18 or something. That's also going into my maybe pile. But at the end of perusing all those Nintendo games, that's what I came away with, at least for now. I did a little more perusing after the camera went away, back into my bag. But we're going to wrap up by looking at some PS2 and PS1 games. They didn't have a lot, but they did have some cool stuff. Starting with 2530 Gradius 3 and 4, which is cool. We got the arcade versions of both of those. Both great games, mind you. I'm a huge Gradius fan, but anyone that watches the channel regularly knows that. King of Fighters 2002 for 990 yen. And that's not bad, so I leave that poking out, along with Gradius. Those are like my comeback for those later kind of games. 770 on Klonoa 2. That's really good. Of course, now you can play Klonoa, both of them, in HD on modern consoles. I got mine on the Switch, and I'm very happy with it. Love me some Klonoa. King of Fighters Neo Wave, definitely not my favorite in the series. We've got 02, I believe, 1100, aka Fatal Frame 2. Great game. I myself, being a fan of Fatal Frame. Tekken 5, my personal favorite in the series. And it's only 330 yen, people. Very nice stuff. See, if you're going for common stuff on the PS2, PS1, even still on the Famicom, Super Famicom, as you can see, a lot of this stuff, you can get it for under $5, some of it. So yeah, prices are still not out of control. Not everywhere, anyway. $9.90 for Hitman Silent Assassin, which, if you didn't know, I was a huge Hitman fan back in the day. And playing recently Hitman World of Assassination on the PS5 rekindled my love for that series. So I'm once again in the Hitman groove, I guess. I played the hell out of that game. We got PS1 games here. To be fair, there was a lot of really common stuff. $16.50 though for Armored Core 2. I guess our Armored Core Arena, whichever it is. So that's pretty cool. And what else we got? We got Depth, whatever the hell Depth is. We got some Dragon Quest. We got a bunch of Namco games. We got some Ridge Racers and things. Black Matrix, an old RPG I got into at one point. And then we have Rurouni Kenshin, the Rurouni Kenshin RPG, as a matter of fact, for 440 yen. If you didn't know, there was a RPG and a 3D fighter. The RPG is fine, I suppose. I haven't played very much of it. And the 3D fighter is not good at all. We got PSP and I think some PS3 as well. Not stuff I'm currently looking for, but we do have some cool stuff down here. They had some boxes and a little bin and everything, but we've got a bunch of strategy guides. We got some Xbox 360 games. On my first pass, I missed a very important game there. I'm actually going to come back to it in just a bit. 1100 though on this King of Fighters Dream Match 99. That's a really good deal on that, so I set that down immediately. They had a couple of PC Engine games, nothing of note. A few Dreamcast games, again, nothing really of note. KOF 95 for 880, but the box is bashed to hell and back. So I had to pass on that, unfortunately, even though I hate leaving a King of Fighters behind. Daytona USA for 330 yen. Good deal on that. Probably the most common Saturn game I come across. That and Vampire Hunter. We've got some Virtua Fighter Remix. We have Tenant Wars. What the hell is Tenant Wars? I don't know. It just looked kind of cool. I don't think I've ever come across this in my travels yet. So I picked it up just out of curiosity. So that actually went home with me. $29.70 on this real bout. Again, box kind of ratty. That's a common issue with the Saturn games that came in boxes. I got some Game Boy here, which is pretty cool, and some Game Boy Color. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Game Boy aficionado out there, but there you go. I know Mario and Metroid and Mega Man and Zelda, and after that, my Game Boy knowledge runs out. Well, you know, there's also Tetris, although my mother was kind of like the Tetris master in my house. Anyone else have that? Anyone else have a mom that was like really good at Tetris, and it was like hard as hell to get your Game Boy back? And then here, I missed it on my first pass. 11,000 yen. So that's, I don't know, in the neighborhood of like $70 for this copy of Mushi Hime-sama on the Xbox 360. I believe one of the region-free 360 games. So that I really had to mull over. I don't have any requests for that kind of thing right now, and it is kind of expensive. I did come in here planning to spend not much more than $10 a game, but this is some of the stuff I found, at least on this wall. A couple of Saturn games, a Dreamcast game. So that's the stuff that was definitely going home with me today. And then here we had all the other stuff, all the Nintendo stuff I found. These are my definite pickups. I went back later after I turned the camera off for the maybes. But this is the stuff I got today. We got Sailor Moon, and we got Tetris Battle Guide Dim. We got Dragon Ball Z, Twinbee, multiple different Puyo Puyo games. That's very cool. We got Super Puyo Puyo boxed for only a few bucks. Some Magical Taruto-kun. We've got Dragon Ball with manual, Dragon Quest 3 with manual, Top Gun 2, Astro Boy, Saint Seiya, Star Force with manual, some Gegege no Kitaro, Gradius, and Kamen no Ninja Hanamaru. So that's the definite stuff I picked up. And then I went back through the PS1, PS2 section and even grabbed some of those Game Boy games. So I did eventually leave here with just a whole bunch of games. So let's wrap this thing up because I've been talking for about a half an hour now. Head back out to the street. But there's my big bag of games. All in all, I picked up about 30 games today. I think the tab was about 28,000 yen. So not bad today. So let me know down in the comments, what did you think of the games I picked up today? And that'll do it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you again next time. Take care. Goodbye.